29-year-old Bostonian Steve Callahan is halfway through the sailing trip of a lifetime.
I remember the first time I went out sailing. I love the immediacy of it. You can go off and have an adventure.
He's already sailed from the USA to the Canary Islands and is now heading off on the 3,500-mile return leg, back across the Atlantic to the Caribbean.
Testing.
I figured on the very outside it would be a month to get to the Caribbean, but I'd probably make it in a few weeks.
For Steve, the trip is an adventure and also a means of escape.
My life was in a bit of a shambles. My marriage had gone south and we had split up. There I was, ready for a new stage of my life. The weather just started turning dirty. It was probably blowing 35 or so knots. And the waves started growing.
For an experienced sailor like Steve, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
I'd seen a lot worse weather before. And so I figured, well, it'll probably be a day or two and this will scoot by. I wasn't worried. Everything was fine.
As night falls and the rough weather continues, Steve switches on the autopilot and beds down for the night.
People think that sailing is a very quiet undertaking. It's not. Big waves are slamming against the side of the boat. You get this quite jerky motion, but I was still able to kind of lie down, and I was kind of half asleep. All of a sudden, there was this big bang on the side of the boat. There was just this huge flood of water immediately.
Steve has no idea what he's hit, but the boat's hull has been torn apart.
The water was rising very, very quickly.
Within seconds, the water is above his head.
I just thought, this boat is going to be underwater. I'm going right to the bottom.
Steve's boat is sinking. He knows he has seconds to get to the life raft up on deck.
So I yank on the line, and if the line keeps coming out, no, nothing. It just didn't work at all. Finally, boom, it pops open.
Steve makes it to safety, but just as he's about to cut himself loose, a terrifying thought hits him.
With the equipment that's in the raft, I will not last very long at all.
Everything he needs to have any chance of survival is stowed deep inside the flooded boat.
It was essential that I go back on the boat and dive down and get equipment. Even though I realized that the boat could slip under the waves at any moment.
Against every instinct, he knows he has no option but to dive back down into the sinking boat.
It was all dark in there, so I couldn't really see anything. I could feel the ditch kit. It was tied down. And I started cutting away.
Steve frees his emergency supply kit. But just as he makes it to the exit hatch,
The hatch slammed closed. The boat's covered with water. I'm going down. I thought that was it. If I don't get out of here right now, I am going to die. There's 100% certainty of that.
but just as Steve's lungs are about to burst, a huge wave breaks across the boat.
All of a sudden, there's air. It was a huge, huge relief.
With only seconds to spare, Steve escapes, clutching his vital emergency supplies.
I jumped into the raft and I saw that I was drifting away from the boat.
Steve can only watch as he drifts away from not just his boat, but also his dream.
I went drifting off into the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. It just was kind of devastating. That first night, it blew hard. Really cold and really wet and really scary. I was shivering a lot and I was worried about dying of hypothermia. I might not make it till the morning.
The currents are pushing Steve westwards, towards the shipping lanes, his only chance of rescue. But he's over 2 weeks away, with only enough water to last him a few days.
It wasn't going to keep me alive very long. You know, I'm taking a little sip every now and then, hardly even swallowing it, really. It's just being more absorbed. I'm getting really thirsty.
Steve ekes out his supplies for a whole week, but knows his only hope are the solar stills. But first he must understand what he's doing wrong.
It was critical to figure out how to use these things. Just like go back just from square one and try to figure out how does this thing actually work.
It's a drastic step, but he decides to rip one of his 3 precious stills apart, in the hope that he can work out how to make them produce fresh water.
Right.
And then it finally dawned on me, it had to be inflated just the right amount. the solar still to produce, I'm talking a spoonful of fresh water, was like the hugest high I could possibly have.
Steve now has a tiny supply of water. But after 7 days at sea, he faces yet another problem. He's run out of food.
I was really hungry, just like really struck me how desperate I had become. There's no way I'm gonna live out here.
For days, Steve continues to try and catch fish, but to no avail.
In the physical sense, it was incredibly depressing. In terms of what I'd felt like I had done with my life, it was depressing. It was the most hellish time in my life.
All Steve's attempts to catch fish have failed. But if he gives up, he'll die of starvation.
I knew that this was not going to be easy. The fish has got to be right under the spear tip.
Yes!
By day 14, I've caught my first fish and I've produced water. So now, as long as the raft stays in one piece and I keep my act together, I might be able to live out here indefinitely.
For the first time in 14 days, Steve has a sense of hope. But the vast and deadly ocean is not about to let him rest. After a month at sea, Steve has drifted right through the shipping lanes, unnoticed. And back home, nobody even knows he's missing.
So pulled with emotions. That was the first time I cried. And it was like, this is the state of my life. What are you doing out here? My life just seemed completely and utterly as open and empty as the ocean.
Steve has drifted an epic 700 miles, but now faces a devastating new reality.
It was really very depressing because I just didn't think that I could fix it.
Steve knows the punctured raft is a disaster. He's going slower, wasting precious calories pumping it up, and now faces an even bigger problem.
I started consuming both water and the fish that was hanging to dry. I was unable to renew that stock while the bottom was deflated. I imagine it wouldn't have been a whole lot longer before I would have died. And then I got scared. This is very real, and you're going to be dead in a matter of hours if you don't snap out of it and get yourself together.
In a final act of desperation, Steve searches for anything that might save his life.
And it just, something happened, and it just clicked, and I go, oh yeah, the fork.
Steve hopes that a fork might just be strong enough to secure a patch to the raft.
I couldn't jump around and jump for joy or anything, but that was just like the hugest victory of my life.
Steve now only has 3 cans of emergency water left, and his body's toxic salt levels are pushing his sanity to the limits.
The physical part of me is going, hey, there's water over there, let's go snag that. But there was that overbearing rational part of me that was going, no, 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 I don't care. Unless, you know, you are dying, you're not getting into that right yet. This is a view of heaven from a seat in hell.
Alone on the ocean for over 70 days, Steve's body and mind are now shutting down. His only hope is to reach land.
I expected to see the islands like days and days before now. I should be reaching the islands. I should be seeing some sign of reaching the islands.
But then Steve has a shocking realization. If he's miscalculated his position, currents will sweep him back into mid-ocean and certain doom.
Maybe I'm way north of the islands, next stop England, you know, 8 months from now. So that was tough. I was very worried that I had screwed up and I wasn't going to make it. I just don't know anymore. Maybe I'm dead. I've never been dead before. Maybe this is what it's like, and this is what I deserve for my shabby life, and maybe I'm just gonna be floating around out here forever. I felt all the hopelessness of people who'd been adrift at sea before and never came back, and nobody ever knew what happened to them. And here I was amongst them, and I could kind of feel them all around me. It just was a horribly desperate feeling. It was over. I was just done. I had no more to give. all of a sudden, it was like all kinds of crates and bottles and plastic. To me, that was the first definitive sign that I was coming into changes. I'm gonna see something. The sun rose. It was like, pff, there's an island in front of me. I couldn't have been more than 10 miles out. To see the green of the island was like, it was it was intense.
But to his horror, Steve realizes that the island is an impregnable fortress of vertical cliffs and razor-sharp coral reefs.
Oh my God, I've come all this way, and there's no way I can make a landing.
After enduring so much for so long, Steve can't let salvation slip away from him at the final hurdle.
This voyage is ending today. No question about it. One way or the other, this is going to come to an end. That's great. I couldn't believe somebody was actually out there.
On the morning of his 76th day adrift, Steve is spotted by some local fishermen.
He said something to the effect of like, "What you doing out here, man?" You know, it's like, well, I'm not out here, you know, improving my suntan. My senses were like plugged into an electric circuit somehow. They were all amplified so that every color was like really, really vibrant and every smell was really, really intense. It just was like heart-wrenching. It was so beautiful to me.
Having endured 76 days in his tiny raft,
I didn't know what to expect going to the Solomon Islands for the first time. I remember getting off the plane and thinking how awfully hot it was.
35-year-old Melissa Armstrong was a hotel manager in Toronto. But fed up with metropolitan life, she quit her job and traveled here in search of adventure.
I wasn't feeling fulfilled. I was really wanting to make a change in my life. And I thought, okay, this will be an adventure.
She's found a job working with marine researcher David Tomlinson, who spent almost 30 years studying the oceans.
I began diving in 1963 in the Bahamas. I'm very lucky to be able to study much of our oceans and see things that not a lot of people get a chance to see.
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Good.
Stephen, Peter, this is Melissa.
Hey.
So you all set to see Cavachi?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, come on aboard.
The dive site is 20 miles offshore. Melissa has never been diving so far from land.
I was excited. I felt good about the dive. It wasn't until I went out there that I thought, oh, wow, I'm really out in the middle of nowhere. And then when we got to the dive site, something inside of me changed, and I thought, there's something wrong.
What's up?
Nothing. Well, I guess maybe I'm just a little nervous.
What about?
I was a little embarrassed because I wanted to be like the guys, one of the guys. And I said, I'm afraid of sharks.
No, you don't have to worry about sharks. They're much more afraid of us than we are them.
I doubt it.
I'm serious. They hardly ever bother divers. Now, if you were up on the surface like a surfer, flapping around, then you look like shark bait. But when you're down below, there's nothing to worry about. Can you zip me up?
If it was me, I wouldn't be worried about the sharks. I'd be worried about you diving right on top of a volcano.
Well, that wasn't something I had ever even contemplated. So now I'm thinking sharks, volcano exploding, sharks and volcano.
Don't listen to him. If it wasn't safe, we wouldn't be here.
But David knows more than he's letting on.
I had heard from the local fishermen that there was a couple big sharks out here, big hammerheads, that have been coming in and bothering some of the local fishermen. But at that stage, she didn't need to know that.
Come on in, the water's fantastic.
Then I got my gear on. I looked at the boatman and I said,
Here I go. Say a prayer for me.
and I thought, well, why did I say that?
After 30 minutes, the divers surface.
That was amazing, wasn't it?
It was awesome.
The weather has changed dramatically. The dark cloud David spotted earlier is now above them.
God, it's really choppy now.
Yeah.
There's the boat, it's miles away.
Yeah, the current must be really strong. Hey! Hey, guys! Hey!
We're behind you!
Hey!
I remember thinking, oh, okay, that's no big deal. I was just looking forward to getting in the boat and putting a towel around myself. And then they didn't turn around.
They got the engines on. I can't hear us over the engines. Turn them off! Cut the engines! Turn it off! Hey!
I said, David, why aren't they turning around? And he couldn't answer that question.
You're yelling, you're screaming at the top of your voice. Why isn't he looking? We're here. Can't you see us?
The boatmen know the divers must be out of air by now. They expect to see them surface, but the dark sky has made the divers impossible to spot. While the engine is keeping the boat in position, they have no idea that a strong current is pulling the divers further away.
Where are they going?
They're not going anywhere. It's,
They are.
no, it's the current. It's pulling us away. Hey!
Yes, you feel anger. You feel like, come on, turn around and have a look at us. Why aren't you looking at us?
Hey!
The current was pushing us away. We could see him. They couldn't see us.
Running the engine to hold the boat in position is burning up fuel. If the boatmen don't leave soon, they risk being stranded. One of them makes a desperate attempt to locate the missing divers, but he has no idea just how far away they are now. With the fuel tank almost empty, the boatmen have no other choice but to return to the island to get help.
Guys! No!
It happened quite quickly. We watched them disappear, as if the sea swallowed them up. I said, David, this is bad. This is really, really, really bad.
David and Melissa are now stranded, alone in the ocean. The nearest land is more than 20 miles away. All they can do is pray for rescue.
Please don't tell me to calm down. We're in the middle of the ocean. You've lost that boat!
I think I have the right to vent here. I won't say what I said, but I swore a little bit.
Melissa's reacting as one might expect. She had a little bit of a dummy spit, and she was swearing profusely. She's relying on me to ensure that everything went smoothly. And at that stage, I'd shot myself in the foot big time. And it just was turning sour as the moments went on.
David and Melissa ignore each other, forgetting they're floating in a powerful current.
David! David!
The current pushes that far away. It was scary.
Come here.
We had to try to swim against a knot to a knot and a half current.
Swim to me.
Just a couple seconds of being apart, I thought, oh my gosh, we just can't let that happen.
I took her regulator, shoved it in through my BC, which was an easy way of making sure that we didn't get separated. Because separation in a scenario like that can be deadly. Not that I'm not a control freak, but I had to help stay in control for us to survive.
20 miles away, the boatmen get back to the island and raise the alarm.
Lost 2 divers out there.
The locals know the seas around here well. They've all heard the stories of giant hammerhead sharks preying on fishermen. They know they may not have long, and search parties race out on the hunt for the missing divers. David and Melissa can only hope that help is on its way. But with each passing hour, they're getting more nervous.
In the Solomons, there's a phenomenal amount of sea life there. Our biggest fear at that stage, I believe, was sharks.
I'd imagine them circling below us. This big mouth coming up and tearing into one of us.
What was that?
What?
Was that you?
What?
Something's on my leg. Ah! Get it off!
It's my gauge. It's my gauge.
Look, get it off
I'm
me!
trying. Would you stop kicking? Look, there's nothing down there.
There's everything down there.
If there's anything dangerous down there.
Like sharks, you mean?
Yeah.
Just say it!
Yeah, and you keep kicking and splashing. The sure as heck gonna come and check us out, right?
All I could think about was sharks. One nibble, one drop of blood in the water, and then we're gone.
The search parties have finally reached Kabachi, but they have no idea that David and Melissa have already drifted miles away in the current. They continue to search above the volcano. But the dangers beneath the waves are not just in Melissa's mind.
Something gripped me.
What? Where?
Oh, my
Ow!
Then I looked in the water, and there were millions of these little globs, little translucent balls.
Oh, jellyfish! All right, look, they hurt. They're not gonna kill you, okay? Just swim through.
We were swimming through countless amounts of them. We were getting stung all over the place. I remember trying to count the stings. I got up to 64. But then it all blended into one. It was just the zapping pain that was shooting through my entire body.
My lip is killing me.
My hands are on fire.
That's okay. I'll go down in about an hour. Are you okay to go on?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Desperate to escape the jellyfish, the divers splashed around on the surface. They've broken David's golden rule and become a magnet for predators.
As I'm looking around, I'm looking straight down. and I see this little dot coming.
I felt David, he pulled me to the right, abruptly.
David! David, what are you doing?
And I pulled back, and he pulled me, and I'm like, what?
It was coming straight at me from the depths, literally, from what I could see, straight at my face. She's coming right up! It was this huge, ugly barracuda, probably 5.5 feet. They can be very aggressive, and they have been known to attack people before.
David knows the great barracuda has a ferocious bite.
All he has to do is hit me in my hand, my arm, my leg. If I start bleeding, I've got another major problem. I've got a problem with sharks.
Against 2 sets of razor-sharp teeth, David's only defense is his camera.
I needed something to ram and protect us. That was the first thing to use.
It circled around us, and then it went off. He couldn't believe it didn't do anything else.
It's gone.
But I kept looking for it because I just didn't want to be caught by surprise by one of those.
With daylight fading, the search parties have no choice but to return to the island. They've spent over 6 hours searching for the missing divers. They'll start again at first light, but everyone knows that by then, the odds are they'll be looking for dead bodies.
I had taken my mask off, and I remember putting my arm through it. I went to reach for it, and it was gone.
Oh, God. Can you see it?
That's horrible because as far as survival is concerned, that's such an important tool.
Something just touched my leg.
So was that you? Was that your fin, David?
Well, that wasn't me.
Oh my God! Oh.
I feel just a little bump, just like something brush up against me. I said, is it sharks? Is it sharks? Is it sharks?
David and Melissa have been adrift in the South Pacific for over 12 hours. Trails of luminous plankton have made them stop swimming. Whatever's causing the flashes now, it's not them.
Oh my God! What was that?
We were seeing little explosions of light within, 5-10 meters of us.
Ah! God! Did you see that?
There'd be a flicker of light, and then another one, and then another one.
What sort of fish they were, I don't know. Any minute, you expect something's going to hit you.
Oh my God! Ah!
Your fear is unbelievable. The night was the most stressful time I've ever had in my life. It's as far as your emotional lows are concerned, that'd have to rank up there with them because I've never been so hopeless. Every minute that we're out there, you become less convinced that we're going to get out of it.
We're in a really bad place here. I don't know what's going to happen.
Part of what we went through was discussing what we pass on if I don't survive. Tell my kids I love them. And my family. It's scary. Oh.
It was really important for me that if he were to survive, I wanted him to tell my mom and dad that they were good parents. He started crying and he said, "You're gonna live to be very old. You're gonna have children." And that was hard. I had fought against the idea of death. And then this transition happened where you're talking about it. You're accepting it. After living through that darkness and then seeing the light, it just changed. It just gave me something I didn't have. It was glorious just seeing that sun.
It was one of the finest sunrises I've ever seen in my life. It's just to watch the light come up was great.
And then I could actually see for the first time the land. I could see that it was actually tangible.
Oh, you're closer. It is closer.
My eyes were completely glued to the land. That's all I could think about.
Melissa may be feeling more positive, but David is 20 years older than her. While he allowed her to rest during the night, he's been awake since 6 a.m. yesterday. The exhausted divers are only 4 miles from land. But for David, this is the most terrifying part of the entire journey.
I didn't totally mention to Melissa at that stage that I believe the greatest fear we're going to have is that last bit, right in close to the shore, because it's an area I wanted to fish, because there's so much sea life there, including your upper major predators. And at the same time, I didn't tell her about 2 big 20-plus foot hammerheads that I heard about that had been bothering the fishermen. So that deeply concerned me, but she didn't need to know that.
But what David doesn't know is that his fins have been chafing his ankles. He's now bleeding profusely. Hammerhead sharks can smell 1 drop of blood in 1,000,000 drops of seawater. It's only a matter of time before David attracts attention.
I remember thinking, what's that piece of plastic sticking out of the water? It looks like a sailboat's on its end, or like almost like a kayak sticking straight up out of the water. Well, what's that plastic?
Oh, David! David! It's a shark.
What?
I saw a fin.
That woke me up.
What
I said, did it sort of look like this? And she says, yeah. And what I sketched with my finger was a dorsal fin of a hammerhead shark.
Just offshore, they've spotted a hammerhead shark.
I'd never seen anything like this. It was huge.
You're talking a 6+ meter shark. That's a big shark.
I figured if it's gonna happen, I want it to happen fast. I hope it doesn't bite my leg. I hope it just sinks its teeth right into my heart. And bang, it's over with.
This was my greatest fear. You're just hoping that that shark isn't hungry. With all the bad things that have happened, a little bit of good luck would be nice right now. The hardest problem is that you know it's still nearby. You're still waiting in the back of your mind it's going to sneak up on you.
The divers make a last desperate attempt to reach land. After 26 hours in the ocean and an agonizing 20-mile swim, they're finally just a few hundred yards from their goal. But getting ashore is far more dangerous than they ever imagined.
This wasn't a sandy beach that we would float up to gently. This was an extremely pitted, jagged, horribly craggy shoreline.
David, look at the rocks.
I knew that with our bodies being so soft, so pliable, our skin just being mushy, all I could think of was how badly we're gonna be torn up.
26 hours in the water has taken its toll on their skin.
I looked at my hands, and my hands were just unbelievably wrinkled from being in the water for so long. And right in the corner of my thumb, just where my nail meets, a bit of flesh had fallen off. At that stage, our flesh is so soft from being in the water so long, it's not going to take much to hurt ourselves badly. It just takes a little piece of rock that's sticking up, and it's going straight through you.
The rocks could be lethal, but the shark might return at any moment. It's a do-or-die decision.
Give me your vest.
I discussed with Melissa exactly what we're going to do. We've worked out a plan.
Put that out in front of you. The body surfing on these, okay?
So now I'm thinking, how on earth we're going to body surf and survive? But what choice did we have? It was completely terrifying.
We're 100 meters from the shoreline, but the odds were that we weren't going to survive.
You ready?
And I just happened to turn left, and I don't know why I turned left and looked.
And then I heard him say, "I'll be damned. There's a boat." It was unbelievable. It couldn't have been at a more beautiful time.
It was an unbelievable feeling. Absolutely unbelievable feeling. Because then it was just like one of the heaviest weights you'd ever have in your life lifted off your shoulder.
Next thing I know, the boat's next to us, and they're pulling me out of the water. And I'm like, I was this crazy mad woman. I was crying and laughing. I kept thinking, I was just lost at sea. I was just lost at sea for 26 hours. The sharks didn't eat us. We didn't die. I'm alive.
David and Melissa swam 20 miles before they were finally rescued and returned to dry land.
There was my brother Owen. Greatest sight in the world.
I didn't know whether to hug him or belt him over the head. I really didn't.
David, what have you done now?
But he's a bit sunburned, so I didn't want to give him too big a slap. I gave him a hug instead.
Hi, I'm Owen.
I said, you do this again, boy, and you're on your own. I'm not flying halfway around the world to save your ass. Oh, sorry, kid.
And it was just great to see him. It's ever since then, every morning you wake up, it's wonderful to start a day, standing on dry land.
David still lives in the Solomon Islands and dives regularly. But Melissa returned home and hasn't done an open water dive since. The two of them remain good friends.